Hello there. Isn't it wonderful when you see one part of the left eviscerating another part of the left, and all down to chasing the votes of their same preferred demographic? Oh, and the prize for the biggest political own goal goes to... well, watch and see. It's happening. The left is beginning to eat itself. A good old dose of red-on-red action, what the military would call friendly fire, although in this case there's not a lot of friendliness involved. And the constituency of Rochdale is the centre of this action, with the result that Hope Not Hate could become fatally damaged. This could do a lot of damage to Labour as well. We have an epic electoral battle taking place in Rochdale between the Labour Party's Azhar Ali and George Galloway, the leader of the Workers' Party and the incumbent MP after a very recent by-election. But both Labour and Galloway are chasing the vote of a certain demographic. And it seems there are dirty tricks afoot if Galloway is correct. And he may have the proof of that dirty action. Here's what Galloway said.
Daniel Joliffe says, I saw that Labour post smearing your name, telling people to avoid voting for you. They're scared of you, George. Daniel, it's worse than that. It wasn't a Labour post. And I can't go too deeply into this because we have a secret recording of the Hope Not Hate meeting in Rochdale before they set off to deliver the post that you have just referred to. It finishes them legally in terms of their charitable status. It finishes them in terms of the election expense limit which is on them as a so-called third party campaign, non-party, not allowed to advocate for any party, but you're allowed to advocate against a party, imagine. But the spending limit on it is small, £700. And we have evidence that they have bust that probably to the power of 10. We have them on tape, including the leader of the so-called Hope Not Hate. But we also have them on tape explicitly stating that they are working with Labour. They are sharing campaigners with Labour and that they want Labour in Rochdale, which is illegal. And quite apart from election expenses, libel, they are banter rights, they are bust. And a major British newspaper is about to blow this show altogether, and so I better not say much more than that.
Now, as you would imagine, I hold no brief for George Galloway, nor Hope Not Hate, nor the Labour Party. My preferment would be that all three of them fail together. But if one of the three is prepared to have a pop at one or two of the others, then I'm all for it. Especially if it means seriously damaging one of them. Hopefully, permanently. And I don't think that George Galloway realises that he himself will one day be superfluous to the requirements of his chosen demographic. And that goes for the Labour Party too. Now, if you believe polls, something I view with great caution because sometimes polls are even contraindicators. Think the Brexit referendum, for example. But according to the Savanta MRP poll in the Telegraph, the predicted outcome for the Rochdale seat will be as follows. In first place, Labour with 36.5% of the vote. Second will be Other. Yes, Other on 23%. Then in third, the Tories with 17.5%, Reform will be in fourth place with some 9%, and in fifth place the Greens on 2.5%. So one assumes that Other, in second place, refers to George Galloway's Workers' Party, which has been classified in the poll as a minority party, so it is not named. So it won't just be hope not hate out on its ear. Galloway will be finding himself out in the cold again too. 2 down then, just Labour to go. But just 9% of the vote for reform. Anyway, I'm hoping that the hateful no-hopers are brought down for good by George Galloway, and that he does get voted out himself. Then maybe some of the other lefty organisations that run along the same lines as Hope Not Hate would start to get some heat as well. The only problem is that if the poll is right, we'll just end up with another woke lefty supporter of a certain demographic in Westminster. The number of pro-Palestine MPs in the House of Commons will be eye-watering. The average Gaza citizen will have far more dedicated representation within the hallowed halls of Westminster than the average UK citizen will ever get. Then, once Labour gets to stuffing the House of Lords with supporters so as to outvote the Tories, the job will be complete. We really are going to be flushed as a country round the U-bend. The whole country will be unrecognisable as the UK after just one full term of Labour. We will be drowned in anti-free speech legislation, a blasphemy law that only recognises one religion. And that religion will not be Christianity. And I guess the Jews will be at the very bottom. And the rapidity of removal of UK heritage and culture will be devastating. And it will be the rest of us that will be required to fit into this new authoritarian religious-based system, a system we will not be allowed to criticise, on pain of a prison sentence. Now, in general, the civil service, as part of the establishment, would be hell-bent on preventing any change they dislike. But I get the distinct feeling that they will be giving a fair wind to most of Labour's communist and woke-based policies. Now get this. I think that a lot of what they propose will actually go against the European Convention on Human Rights, especially where free speech and blasphemy laws are concerned. Could it be that it is Labour that ends up taking us out of that body so that it can impose its doctrine on the rest of us with no pushback from the European Courts of Human Rights? Not beyond the scope of imagination, you know. Unless, of course, the ECHR judges are quite content to squash the voice of any majority that wants a nation-state with protected borders. And I fear that would be the most likely outcome. And the winner of the grand Score the Most Epic Own Goal competition goes to this bunch of jokers. Yes, those tiresome Just Stop Oil protesters. But this time they've discharged both barrels into both feet, because the vast majority of responses to this stupid act have been heavily negative, to say the least. It looks like they've lost huge amounts of support over this particular stunt of attacking a UNESCO World Heritage Site. A site that is also protected under UK statute law, the Ancient Monuments and Archaeological Areas Act 1979. And one Twitter account with 114,000 followers, Stonehenge UK, said, "Stonehenge is protected by the Ancient Monuments Act, and it is a criminal offence to damage the stones. There are also multiple rare lichen species growing on the stones that are also protected. Expect a prison sentence." Now, Just Stop Oil was quick to claim that the orange dye they use is harmless and will wash off when it rains. The trouble for them, though, is that many experts disagree. They say that the rare lichen protects the stones and could be damaged by the activities of Just Stop Oil. Now, funnier than all of that is the rumour mill is now saying that this act of stupid cultural vandalism is proof that Just Stop Oil is, in fact, a pro-oil psyop. Yes, the claim is that it should be renamed as Just Support Oil. because most of the actions of this group and its selfish, entitled half-wits keeps bringing the anti-oil lobby into disrepute. And this latest one seems to have sealed the deal, with many people on Twitter replying to the JSO press release that they'd just done their best over the last hour to waste as much energy as they could. Now, one interesting fact is that it has been pointed out on Twitter that a company called Just Stop Oil Limited has been struck off by the Registrar of Companies. Now, I took a quick look at this one, and I personally don't think it is or ever was associated with Just Stop Oil itself officially, although I may be wrong. Anyway, let's hope that we at least see the political demise of Hope Not Hate, Just Stop Oil and George Galloway.